I have an intermittent noise and vibration that I am experiencing on my Pontiac Vibe, and I am hearing and feeling the vibration mostly when I am backing up out of my driveway and I get all the way out into the road. I put the car, from reverse back into drive, and then I am hearing and feeling something that sounds like womp, 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 sort of like that. So trying to figure out a way to test different parts under the car to figure out where that vibration is coming from, I had the idea to use these little piezo crystals or piezo sensors here. And you can buy these on Amazon. They're extremely cheap. $5.99 for 12 of them. And I wasn't sure exactly if this test was going to work. So what I did was I hooked up my oscilloscope. I have two picoscopes. This is my small one, and I have a 4-channel also that's in the car. And what I wanted to do was kind of get an idea of how well these sensors would do at picking up vibration. So standing here in my garage, and it was hot, and I had my fan here, and I thought, well, that fan would produce vibration when I turn it on. So I have my channel here connected to the two wires of that piezo sensor, and here was my theory. So let me start the scope. So there is the trace being measured by that sensor. I'm going to turn the fan on, turn it off. So definitely you can see a response in the sensor with vibration. If I turn the fan on high, turn it off. So that's the idea, is I can put these sensors in various places under the vehicle and measure what is experiencing the most vibration. I attached them with this fun tack. I believe this is intended for hanging posters on the wall, and it works pretty good. I cleaned the areas that I wanted to install it with brake clean, wiped them, nice and clean. And I'll show you some pictures of where I have this under the car. So let's see. So right here is my sway bar. So I've got one of those sensors on the driver's side sway bar, one on the passenger side sway bar. The sway bar link, I've got one of the sensors there. I've got one of the sensors on the power steering rack. Let me see if I can show you that one. If you can see it right down there, that is on the power steering rack. I've got these long wires that a friend of mine from work, an engineer, he was throwing these wires away, and I really like them. They have multiple wires inside of a housing, and you can just run like one wire into your car and have 4 wires inside of there. So I'll also show you down here where I've got these things hooked up. Let's see, how do you turn this flashlight on where I want it? So there we go. So there is the one on the sway bar link. There's the one on the sway bar. Same thing on the other side. Now let me get off the floor. So unfortunately, this being an intermittent problem, I am in my second week of doing some driving and testing. Last weekend, when I first did this test, I just could not make the car duplicate the noise. And my wife had to use the car to go back to work, so I just kind of had to, wrap the wires up. I didn't want to disconnect everything, so I just basically coiled those wires right there around in loops and kind of tucked them away, and then hooked my scope back up again this weekend. So when driving the car, I've got all my connections made down under the car, and this is pretty neat that I'm going to show you something here. You can verify that your sensors are connected properly without crawling under the car. So I'm going to start the scope here. So there's 4 traces, and all 4 of those traces are measuring a sensor. Now watch this. I'm going to slap the steering wheel, and every one of those 4 traces responded. That tells me that all 4 of those connections are good. I've got my power and my ground on all 4 of the connections under the car. Nothing came loose. That's just kind of a neat little test you can do with these sensors. So now I'll show you what I found. Let me pull up the file. So just now today, on my 2nd week, after many drives, I have taken this car and backed it up and turned left and backed it up and turned right and went forward and turned left and turned right and turned while braking and turned while accelerating and doing a lot of things to try to figure out, or try to make the car duplicate the vibration so that I can see which one of these sensors is picking up the most vibration. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just filtering some of the noise out of these signals so that we can see it more clearly. Oh, you know what? For one thing, I've pulled up the wrong file. Give me just a moment, please, while I find the right file. Here we go. So now I'm going to, again, filter out some of that noise on all 4 channels. Okay, here we go. So on this test drive that I just went on, I backed the car up out of my driveway and I backed it into the road. Car was of course in reverse. I put it in drive and I heard the noise quickly. Now it didn't do it nearly as long as it used to, and not nearly as strong or as loud, but I felt it, and so I stopped the scope. So right here is where I felt the noise. So this top trace is my my power steering rack. I didn't see anything really unusual during the time that I heard the noise, which was right here. Power steering rack, I would say, did not pick up the vibration. This was my sway bar on my passenger side. It didn't pick up the vibration. This is my sway bar link on the driver's side. It did pick up the vibration. And this is my sway bar itself, all the way to the, all the way over on the driver's side, close to the end. So my sway bar link and my sway bar itself picked up this vibration during the time that I heard the noise. So that's just an idea of how you can use these extremely cheap little piezo crystal sensors to pick up vibration. They of course also pick up pressure pulses, so they're good for, you can literally blow on one of these things and the force of the air will make them respond. So they're great for, people use them for pressure sensors in intake systems, exhaust systems, to pick up, different pulses of air, for measuring things like misfire diagnostics and things like that. But just wanted to show an idea of how something like this could be used. And now my job next is to continue narrowing this down. Now that I believe I'm seeing this vibration on the driver's side of the car, I'm seeing it in the sway bar and sway bar linkage. So I'll do some further testing of things around in that area, and hopefully the idea is get it pinpointed down to the thing that is vibrating the most, and that should be my culprit. Thanks for watching.